How many people have seen that video, just out of curiosity? One. How many people have heard me talk about that video? So, when I went to go put this information together, I realized that what I'm going to tell you over the next hour and a half is actually a really personal story that I've been going through, not only as a human being, but as somebody who takes care of a lot of people's health, and as a friend who has watched people die of cancer, and as someone who deeply, deeply, deeply cares about the health of our community. August 7th, 2010, I was sitting in a seminar very, very much like this, had about 300 people in it, and most of them were chiropractors. And at 1 o'clock after lunch, there was a speaker that was coming to talk to us, who was the president of the local chiropractic college. And he was coming, we knew he was coming because the chiropractic college was in trouble, and he was there to help us donate money so that we could save the chiropractic school. But I had heard what an amazing speaker this guy was. And he shows up, I'm sitting down, and the thing to know, this was 6 years ago, so the thing to know about me is, at that time, my kids were, Bodie would have been about 11 and Paxton would have been about 9. How many people have kids that are 11 and 9? They're great ages. That's the sweet spot as far as what I've experienced. I'm a working mom. I had come out of the kids being little and balancing motherhood with my career and my practice, and I felt like I was in a really sweet time of my life. And comfortable might be even the word that I would use. And this speaker got up and he said, for the last 17 years, cancer rates have gone up, Alzheimer rates have gone up, dementia has gone up, diabetes has gone up, heart disease has gone up, type 1 diabetes has gone up, more people are on medication, more people are on painkillers, more people are on antidepressants, and all of that has been going on while you guys are in your offices taking care of your community. It is on your watch that all of these things have been going up. And I sat there in my comfortable state, and my mind started to negotiate. When you hear information that you don't like, and you guys are going to find that today, is you want to comfort yourself. And so my first reaction was, well, I haven't been in practice 17 years. And then I started to do the math, and I realized I'd actually been in practice exactly 17 years. And then I started to say, well, he must be exaggerating these statistics because, that I haven't heard anybody else talking about that. That can't be true. So I started to do some investigation. I went home. I was very disturbed by his talk. It agitated something inside of me. And I went home and I started to do some research immediately. And this is what I found. We have the worst healthcare system in the world for as rich as we are. We spend more on medication, on surgeries, on trying to put our health back together with what I would call toxic ways. And our life expectancy is less than Switzerland, Italy, Sweden, Spain, Australia, New Zealand. We are sucking at healthcare, if you ask me. And I'm not the only person. I also found out that we're not winning the war on cancer. This statistic I found when I was putting this presentation together, I want to give you some perspective. 1,600 people die per day from cancer. How many people died in 9/11? Anybody know? 3,000 people died in 9/11. So this is like a 9/11 every other day. Big problem. Alzheimer's. How many people have a loved one with Alzheimer's or experienced that? Right now they're saying that seniors, when they're dying, we have about 1 out of 3 seniors dying with Alzheimer's or dementia. If you can see these statistics, we're at 2015, and they're saying by 2050, we will go from 35 million people with Alzheimer's to 106 million people with Alzheimer's. Pain medication, opiates, #1 used and abused drug in our nation. It's the most prescribed drug. And deaths from overdosing on opiates has tripled since 1990. How many people know somebody or they're living with a thyroid condition? Hold your hands up for a second if you don't mind. Look around the room. I'm going to show you exactly why we have so many thyroid problems. 1 out of 5 Americans with a thyroid problem, and 97% of them are autoimmune. Food allergies. How many people know a kid with food allergies? Okay, put your hands down for a second. When we were kids, how many people remember somebody with a peanut allergy when we were kids? So these are the kind of things, as I started to unravel what he said, I was like, well, there has to be a common thread that's going through all of these things. Why are all these diseases going up? It's not by happenstance. There has to be a reason. And the kids are the one that get me the most, because he said it in there about cancer, brain tumors. Cancer in kids is going through the roof. We now have 1 out of, well, they say about 25% of our children are on a medication they'll never get off of for their entire life. Leukemia. I mean, how many people know somebody with leukemia? That's a really common one that we're seeing a lot of. And this is the one that I would continue to fight until I could go into my grave, autism. So right now, he said on that video was a couple of years old. On that video, he said like 1 out of 100, something around that. We're now at 1 out of 45 kids are going to get autism, and they're projecting that if we statistically go this direction, that by 2025, how many people plan on being alive in 2025? Okay? By 2025, half of all boys in 2025 will be autistic, if these statistics continue. So as I unraveled the information, this is where I left myself, was like, what the hell can I do? I don't know what I can do. I'm just a chiropractor in my office trying to help people live a better life. How can I handle those statistics? But I'm the type of person, if something agitates me, I just don't let it go. I can't let it go. And so I started by thinking, well, gosh, the thing that we can control is what we put in our mouth. Why don't I go to my patients and I look at what they're putting in their mouth. And so what I did is I started to investigate. And I started to read, who's read some of these books? Who's read Wheat Belly, just out of curiosity? It's a phenomenal book. So when Wheat Belly came out, this is the first medical doctor, he's a cardiologist, to come out and say, you know what? We're finding that heart disease and being overweight is not because of fat, it's because of wheat. And when that book came out, it like shook the world. People were like, what? They didn't know what to do with that information. Yeah, Brain Maker, those are both written by a neurologist, a neurosurgeon, that said it's your microbiome that controls what goes on in your brain, neurotransmitters, how your brain thinks. Alzheimer's, I believe, has a connection to this. Then you've got Dr. Hyman, who went on to say, you know what, we're eating too much sugar, and we're eating the wrong fats. And there are tons of experts out there who are proving, if you pick up these books like Brain Maker, who's picked up Brain Maker? Because I've recommended that to some people. It is a heady book. I had trouble getting through it. There was a lot of science in that book. But there was so much information validating that what we're eating is destroying our health. So what I did is I decided I would go into my office and I would start to put people on a 90-day challenge. Because I thought if we could change the way they ate for 90 days, that we could really turn somebody around. And I started with people that I thought had wheat intolerances. And I'll never forget the first person I started with. She had a wrist pain that wasn't going away. It didn't matter what we did, the pain wasn't going away. And so I said, can you just do an experiment for me and just get off wheat for 2 weeks? There's no wheat at all. And let's just see what happens to your pain. Sure enough, 2 weeks later, she was pain-free, completely pain-free. This had been a 10-year problem. So I started then, I got excited and I was like, let me change everybody's diet. And I started doing these 90-day, I actually wrote a manual. What I didn't know at the time is that it was the beginning of what would be the reset factor. But I sat down and I wrote a manual, and it was called the 90 Days to Wellness. And I started handing it out to people, but I was missing a lot of information. Because what I found is when I gave it to people, they would start a week or two into taking sugar out and weed out and chemicals out, and within a week this would happen. And I was like, why don't these people see this the way that I see it? Why can't they see that their whole world would change? I love, like, the time my favorite quote was, nothing tastes as good as healthy feels. It's still one of my favorite quotes. But I couldn't get people to get past cravings. I couldn't get people to keep the discipline going for 90 days. They were just like, they couldn't see it. So I decided, this was me, this is literally how I felt. And I was just like banging my head against the wall. So I decided to look for other doctors, other wellness doctors who were doing similar, had similar passions as that I had, and were successfully getting this information into their patients' hands. So I joined a group called Maximize Living. There's 400 offices nationwide. They're a phenomenal group, and they believe in that there are 5 essentials that you have to incorporate to keep your health in a good shape. The first one is you have to keep your mind in good shape. You have to, and this isn't just stress, this is your outlook on your health, this is your outlook on life, so it starts with a positive mind. The second thing they say you have to work on is your spine and your nervous system. I truly believe that there have been about 3 different times in my life that I have seen somebody heal quicker than expected, and they were due to 3 different things, and one of them is because of a chiropractic adjustment. It truly is a miracle. When you get that nervous system going, your body heals incredibly well. The third thing is nutrition. So they were working with nutrition. The 4th is fitness, and the 5th was toxins. And so many of you have been in my practice for the last, I was with Maximize Living for 5 years, and we would do recipe nights where we'd have people go and try out new recipes, and bring them to the office, and we'd share it and exchange stories. I took people to Costco. The Costco on Coleman knows me quite well, because I would bring groups of people into Costco, and I would show people, like, this is what we buy, and this is why we buy it, and here are the labels that you need to look at. And it was really helpful. And the question that Maximize Living was trying to address, or continues to try to address, is what builds disease? And out of what I learned with them, I started to take my 90-day challenge and I shortened it into 30 days. And so we would put people on 30 days. Some of you, I can remember, we put you on a 30-day. And yes, you could lose 20 pounds. I think it was the men, by the way, that lose the 20 pounds. So if you're going to do a detox today, this is my warning. If you're going to do a detox with a male spouse, I can tell you right now, the men lose weight faster than the women. Don't compare yourselves. Okay, deal? So we did 30-day challenges, and we had amazing results. We had miracles, and I thought, this is amazing. I found the solution. I just got to get people to change the way they eat. That's it. And then we had people that would go on 30-day challenges, and they do this. And they would come in and they'd be like, I did everything you told me. I did everything. And I would say, write it all down. Bring me the food diary. And they'd come in and they'd bring me the food diary, and I'd sit at my desk and go, yeah, they did everything. They really did do everything. And I couldn't quite grasp my head around what I was missing. There had to be more information. And I still, even when people changed their food, we still had people who had autoimmune problems, and we had people that had thyroid problems, and we had Alzheimer's, people that were telling me that their memory they were having difficulty remembering, and chronic pain situations weren't going away. And so I was like this. I thought it was this food. I thought, and I'm going back to this day where this doctor stood up and told me that all these people are suffering on my watch. And I'm like, I thought I found the solution. And I realized that it wasn't the complete picture. So I went back to the 5 essentials. And I said, okay, we're working on the mind. And if you guys are a patient in my office, we are going going to do a ton on stress this year because this is another one that we can dive in deeper. We're doing incredible work with the spine and nervous system. So my staff, I felt like a proud mother as they were up here talking. They're amazing, and they give their heart and their soul to all of you guys. Workout, Saturday morning. Who comes to my Saturday morning workout? Yay, it's fun, right? Where's Yit May? You gotta come just to see Yit May do side steps, because she's so good at it. So we do workouts on Saturday morning, and then I zeroed in on toxins. What am I doing to help people detox? Perhaps the people that aren't losing weight, perhaps the people that can't get off their medications, perhaps the people that are changing their food and they don't see any difference. Maybe it's a toxicity issue. So I started to look around at people who were healing themselves by detoxing. This man right here, I've been lucky enough to call a friend and a mentor. He is a chiropractor in Chicago, and he had several chiropractic offices, very successful individual, eating right, working out, getting adjustments. And one day he woke up with a headache that didn't go away for 3 days. And it kept getting worse and worse and worse. And the third day he went to the medical doctor. They did a scan of his brain. He had 4 brain tumors that were all malignant. They gave him 3 days to a week to live. He had 3 little children at the time. He is one of my heroes. Amazing what this man did. He said, well, I have to find a better way. And he started to look at what he was eating, and he started to look at what toxins he had been exposed to. And he found out that he had a genetic deficit, or genetic, not even a deficit's not right, but a mutation of a gene called MTHFR, which about 70% of our population has, by the way. And with this gene change, he doesn't detoxify very well. And so he started to look at where he got exposed to toxins, and he had owned 4 clinics, so he had remodeled his clinics 4 different times. And he went to a biological dentist who said, you have a mouthful of mercury that's bleaching into your system, and your body's not able to detoxify it. And I'm happy to say that 6 years it's been now, he is cancer-free. He went from 3 days to 6 years, he's completely cancer-free. That's amazing. And then I started to read this book. How many people have read this book? Okay, this book is amazing. How many people know Suzanne Summers? Okay, so we know her as Chrissy, right? I watched Three's Company when I was back in the 70s, and you think of her as the ditzy Chrissy, but do you know that she's written over 20 books on health? And she got breast cancer. When she got breast cancer, she decided she wanted to do it naturally. And so what she did is she went and looked at not only natural treatments, but she looked at why she got breast cancer. And she found out it was in her lotions and in her beauty products, that the byproduct of being Chrissy was that she had been exposed to so many toxins. And so she started to undo all of those toxins, and 22 books later, she strongly believes that everybody's health breaks down because of an accumulation of toxins. And and this book is neat because she interviews 5 different top authorities in cancer specifically and how it relates to toxins. So I started diving deeper into detoxing, and I started looking at symptoms and things like moodiness and hot flashes and insomnia and depression and anxiety, and I started looking at those things, and I'm like, maybe all of those have a toxic piece to it. So this was a couple of years back. I decided that instead of doing 30-day challenges, we were going to do 15-day detoxes. That we were going to detox people for 15 days. We're going to pull those toxins out. We're going to get nutrients to the liver and to the gut, and then we would try to change their habits. Sound familiar? Who's read the reset factor? That's how that 45-day reset came about, is that I started to put people on these 15-day detoxes and then changing their habits for 45 days. And miracles happened. It was phenomenal. This is a good friend of mine. He's also a chiropractor. His name's Mike. When he and his wife got married, they came back from their honeymoon and said, oh boy, did we toxify ourselves. It's time to make a change. And so I love him because he's so enthusiastic, but he documented his whole 45-day reset. He followed it exactly to a T. He's actually now on like day 60 or something like that, and he wants to keep going. And then a lot of you guys have been on the 15-day detox and have incredible results. And you know, those of you who have followed the detox the way that I wrote it in the book, and you get great results, it is such a high for me because I know that what I wrote in that detox, and I'm going to explain it to you guys today in detail, so if you haven't been on the detox, I encourage you to get on it. I know that it works. And we started seeing result after result after result, and this is how I felt. It was awesome. And then this happened. I lost a good friend to cancer. I put this picture in and took this picture out, put this picture in, took this picture out about 10 times. A friend took this picture. This is Lanny. This was 2 weeks before she died. One of her friends took this picture, and I didn't even know that the picture was taken. And 2 days later, I go to my phone to look in my pictures for something, and there was this. And I knew who took it because there was only 3 of us in the room. And I went to Suzanne and I texted her and I said, thank you. Like, you don't know what that means to me because that sums up my journey with this woman. And yet it's hard for me to even look at, and those of us who know Lanny who went through the journey with her, it was a tough one. And I will fill you in on the details. At 40 years old, this woman was kicking butt in life. She had a beautiful family. She had a beautiful job. She was an incredible member of our community. We really lost somebody special. And she went in for a routine mammogram, and they found cancer throughout her whole body. And she did not have one symptom. Not one symptom. She didn't have any warning. And they said, we need to do radiation, we need to do a mastectomy, and then we'll put you on chemo. And even with all of that, you have about 3 months to live. And the thing I learned from Lanny is tenacity, because Lanny said, I refuse that diagnosis, I refuse that prognosis, and I'm going to figure out why my body built cancer. And so she immediately went home. She looked at everything in her house. She looked at her shampoo. She went under her kitchen sink, and she said she literally took everything out of the pantry and changed it all in a matter of a week, like one swoop. She changed her diet. She learned everything she possibly could learn. And she beat it. She actually, at one point, it was gone. It was gone, like it was totally gone. 10 years, well, about 8 years in, she was at my event standing up and saying, I beat cancer, this is amazing. And at year number 9, she came to me, said, can I talk to you? We were in my office, we went into an enclosed room, and she says, it's back. And it's not just in a few places, it's everywhere. And I don't know what to do. And she cried. And that changed the way I looked at nutrition and detoxing forever. Because I don't understand how the body can heal and can show that it's fine, and then it can be so sick again. And I was back at this place. What am I missing? What am I not seeing? So when she died, how many people have lost a loved one to cancer? When she died, another switch went off in me, and I said, enough is enough, I need more information, I'm missing something. So I went back to things like the EWG. What is the EWG saying about our environment? How many people found that video shocking, that first video? There are chemicals everywhere, and what I've learned in my journey since Lanny died is that you are actually born with a chemical load that you did not ask for. You actually came into this world with this chemical load, and we all came in with different chemical loads. And so then I looked at the Breast Cancer Fund. How many people know about the Breast Cancer Fund? These are 2 amazing organizations, and I'm going to tell you they're probably the most amazing when it comes to cancer, because they are actually trying to prevent it. Breast Cancer Fund, and those of you who've heard me before, heard me say that they actually found out that there's a chemical in Johnson & Johnson's No More Tears that causes cancer. It's actually the thing that causes the baby to not have any more tears. That's a cancer-causing chemical. So they went to Johnson & Johnson and they said, hey, this causes cancer, you might want to take it out. And Johnson & Johnson said, no. We make so much money off of No More Tears, there's no way we're taking it out. And so they took them to court years later, and they won, and it's now out of their shampoo. Amazing organization. And so I started to look at what people were saying about toxins, and I found this guy, Dr. Daniel Pompa. He has an amazing website, or a podcast. It's called Cellular Healing TV. There's about 150 episodes. I highly recommend that you listen to him. I've listened to L 150, and many of them I've listened to them over and over and over again. He is an expert on lead and mercury removal. He had chronic fatigue himself that was caused by toxic exposure. Then I went and listened to that guy up there in the corner, Ty Bollinger, The Truth About Cancer. Who's seen that episode? That's all over the internet. So Ty is amazing because he had 6 relatives, parents, aunts, and uncles that all died of cancer. And he's an accountant, or he was an accountant. And he decided, I'm not going to be, I don't want to die of cancer. If all these people are dying of cancer, I got to figure out what's going on. So he wrote a book. I looked for it this morning because I wanted to bring it to you guys to show it. He wrote a book that's about this thick. And it's called The Truth About Cancer. And it showed, he researched every toxic exposure you could possibly get that would be cancer causing, and it was this thick. And it has science in it, and it's actually pretty easy to read. And then I started to listen to this lady down here in the corner, Dr. Seneff. She's an MIT scientist. And she says that GMO foods that are being sprayed with glyphosate, which if you don't know what glyphosate is, it's Roundup. And our foods are being sprayed on it. If you're not eating organic, you're getting a dose of Roundup every time you eat. And she believes that that's the cause of leaky gut syndrome, which I'm going to show to you here in a moment. And she believes that that's why autism is through the roof. How many people eat out? It's every time you eat out, if you're not getting organic, you're getting some glyphosate. They predict that close to 100% of our population has some type of leaky gut. And then this guy down here in the bottom, Dr. Zach Bush, you can find his TED Talk. He is an endocrinologist that said he found that he could not get rid of hormone problems, thyroid problems, any endocrine problem. He could not get rid of it without fixing the gut. But he couldn't fix the gut with probiotics. And so he did some research and he found, I love brilliant people like this, he went down to like the lower layers of dirt, and he found that there are some really helpful nutrients in dirt that actually repairs the leaky gut. And he developed a product called Restore, which you'll hear me talk about. And so who's on Restore, just out of curiosity? That is another game changer that we're finding in my office. And then this guy right here, Dr. Jerry, he says, you know what? The microbiome in your gut, it starts in your mouth. That actually your toothpaste is toxic, your mouthwash is toxic, fluoride is toxic. And by the way, if you're not aware of it, they upped the fluoride in Santa Clara County water on December 5th. Still trying to figure out, I think home filter is the only way to go to get that out. But they upped the fluoride in our water. And he said, and that's what's killing everybody's microbiome. And then this guy in the middle, Dr. Dominic, said, if we all would just get into ketosis, who's heard of ketosis? Just so I know. If we could all just get into ketosis, we could heal ourselves. So I've been studying these people for the last year and a half, extensively. And I've come to the conclusion that if you want to turn your health around and you want to turn it around fast and you want to turn it around permanently, you're going to have to detox. It's just the way it is. And I strongly believe that we should do a detox twice a year. We should do it in January is a great time, and I think September is another great time because it's after summer when we do too many barbecues and things like that. But I think this is going to be what I'm going to teach you today. We've come up with 3 layers of detoxing in my office. Because some of you need a light detox, some of you need a heavy detox. So I'm going to show you those 3 layers, and my prayer and my hope is that you all leave with one of those detoxes that you're going to launch onto. because I think it's that important for your health. I think it's actually more important than working out. And I think it's like water and air. You've got to start to look at how you're going to remove these toxins. The problem with detoxing is it's incredibly complicated. Anybody study biology or physiology in school? If you ever study the liver, the liver will bore you to death. It is the hardest working organ other than the nervous system. It has 2 phases of degeneration. It is so, or detoxification. It is so complicated and so powerful that you could actually remove 80% of your liver and it would still keep trying to detoxify you. But what we're finding is most of our livers are just overloaded. There's too many toxins around, so we got to work on giving our livers some break. And so I go back to what can we do? 95% of chronic diseases are environmental, nutritional. They have this piece of it. And I resonate with the EWG, Ken Cook's video that I showed at the beginning. I resonate with where he says, what can we do? We can't avoid it completely. I mean, I put this together because I wanted you guys to see what my mindset is around how I look at toxins in my life, this toxin exposure checklist. I put this together so that you guys could start to have a working point on how to remove toxins out. And this is only a small little piece of all the toxins that we're exposed to, and I'll go through some of this. And the other thing I had to ask myself is, okay, what does it take to prevent disease? What does it take to get better? And what I've come to believe is that it takes 2 things. If you want to prevent disease, and my hope, I'm the type of person when I go to a seminar like this, I want to leave and I want to make a change. I look at, a lot of you said this to me, I'm coming because I need motivation. I'm coming because I was really bad over the holidays, I need to do something different. So my hope is that today is like one of those lines in the sand where you just go, okay, I'm not going to live this life anymore, I'm going to make a change. Well, the first thing it takes if we're going to prevent disease is it takes personal responsibility. So one of my bucket list things is I'd love to do a TED Talk. I've got to figure out how to do that, but that's on my list. And I've batted around in my head what I would talk about. There's so many TED Talks out there, what could I say that would bring a unique perspective? And I really think that the topic that resonates with me is if 95% of all diseases or chronic diseases are preventable, why aren't we preventing them? Why are these numbers going up? And I think it starts with personal responsibility, and I think it starts with you need an owner's manual. You need to know how this thing works. And so today my goal is to give you the owner's manual for detoxing. My heart goes out to people who are going to go online and they buy a pre-ordered detox kit and they decide to do that for a couple of weeks, only to find out that 2 weeks after that they're back in where they were, the state that they were in. I want to show you detoxing so you get it, you understand it, you can teach it to somebody else, that you can always be working on detoxing because I think that it's that important. And there are 2 parts of your body that you need to understand. One is that you need to understand that there are the 2 organs that help you detoxify are your liver. Most people know that, but also your gut. And then the other thing that you need to understand is how to fix your cells, which is why I have this one up here. And when I sit down with somebody one-on-one, this is what we do, is we hash out what's going on with your cells and what's going on with your gut. So I want to show you something because as I go into the 15-day detox, I want you to understand why I have the supplements in there that I have, why I have you take out the foods that I have you take out, and why your gut is such a pivotal part of the whole process. So how many people have seen me do this with them? This has been my new thing. I've been cornering people in the office. Okay, this to me explains everything. Your liver is your detoxifying organ. So if you go out to eat, you're getting a dose of glyphosate, or you're getting pesticides on your food, which, by the way, if you're not eating organic, I'm really hoping that after today you make a commitment to eat organic. There are so many studies done on pesticides and cancer. It's not a question anymore as to whether pesticides are producing cancer or not. It's knowledge. We know this for a fact. So your liver gets exposed to toxins and it starts to push it out into your gut. And if your gut is in bad shape, there are really 3 things that affect the gut. There's a leaky gut, there's candida, and there's something called SIBO, which is too much bad bacteria. How do you know if you have these? I'm going to get, because symptoms will help you understand. A leaky gut, people who have chronic pain, trouble thinking, they're now calling it leaky brain, or people who have trouble thinking and they just can't focus. Chronic pain people, chronic fatigue, trouble losing weight, that's usually a leaky gut. Candida. Candida is yeast, too much yeast growing in the body. And people who have candida tend to crave sugar. So if you're one of those people that you're like here and you're like, okay, I'm gonna get off sugar for the next 15 days. Yes. And you're like just dreading it because you have such a sweet tooth. There's a good chance you've got candida. There's literally a fungus that's living inside of you that is causing you to crave sugar. You kill that thing and all of a sudden getting over sugar becomes much easier. And SIBO is bad bacteria. This is when you eat, you feel bloated after you eat, you're a SIBO person. So that, for most people, is going on. And so we've got this damage going on in the gut, and it would be a little bit like if I came to your house and it was a warm day and the flies were trying to get in and you close your screen door, and I go over and I start cutting holes in the screen door. What would happen? Flies would get in. So that's what's happening when you've got these 3 situations, is that the gut is supposed to excrete the toxins, but it doesn't do that. What it does is it puts them back into the bloodstream. We call this auto-intoxication. And the liver pushes it out, the gut's in bad shape, it goes back into the bloodstream, and it usually goes to 2 places. It goes to the brain. This is one of the things I think is causing Alzheimer's right now, is we've got a lot of toxins think about how much toxic exposure somebody has by the time they're 70. And it goes straight up to the brain, affects the brain. I think this is ADD, I think this is ADHD, I think this is depression, I think this is anxiety, insomnia. A lot of that is toxins in the brain. The other places that it goes to the thyroid. The thyroid is like the canary in the coal mine. It grabs all those toxins and eventually it starts to not work right. I also have a theory, although I can't, these 2 are well documented ideas. The one idea that I haven't been able to prove, but I've been in my work with Bonnie trying to figure out why type 1 diabetes is on the rise, and it's an autoimmune condition. And all autoimmune conditions start from an imbalance in the gut. And I'm thinking that it's an auto-intoxication that goes to the pancreas and starts to destroy the pancreas. So when you go to detox, you gotta make sure this gut is in good shape. That's the first thing that I will tell you. So right now, the product that we're using and that you can get here today is Restore. How many people are on Restore? How many people have noticed positive results with Restore? Anybody want to share what they noticed? Go ahead, Kim.
About 2 weeks in, I stopped being stiff and sore when I got up from a seated position.
That's it. Perfect. That's it. That's leaky gut. So what the Restore, this guy, Dr. Zach Bush, the endocrinologist, he's the one that developed Restore. I was a huge probiotic fan until I listened to that man speak. Once I heard him speak, I decided I would start everybody on Restore. So anybody who detoxifies now in my office gets on Restore. Because it doesn't make sense if you're going to push the toxins out the liver, if you've got damage in the gut, you're just auto-intoxicating yourself. The cool thing about Restore is it's a liquid. Who's been on it again? Taste? The taste is nothing. It's like water. Yes. My son, who is my harshest nutritional critic, I can get him to even take it. It tastes like nothing. You can give it to your kids, and you basically drink it a couple of, 20 minutes before you eat so that you repair these holes. They can actually see it on microscope. This is not voodoo. This is everything I'm going to tell you today. I'm a science gal. I love science. I see a theory, and then I want to see about 10, 20 studies following up that theory, proving to me that's right, and then I want to see other doctors and other people using it and having that experience before I even bring the information to you. So I sat on Restore. Carrie's not here. I have a couple of patients that I was telling about Restore, and I sat on it and I worked with a couple of patients before I even brought it to everybody. But it is a game changer. Everybody should be on Restore. Make sense? The second thing that you've got to do is you've got to work on fixing the cell. And I won't go into all the details of the cell, but you're going to see as I go through the 15-day detox that what happens to the cell is that the cell gets inflamed. And so we have a test in our office we use called a Medioxy urine test. And you basically pee in a cup, you put it in a little test tube, and it gives you a color. How many people have done that? Okay, and it gives you a range of somewhere between 0 to 6. How many people had 6? Okay, how many people had 0? Yeah, awesome. So it's possible. 0, raise your hand because the 6 people don't realize that you can get to 0. Maria, raise your hand. Okay, so awesome. So 0 means that these cells don't have inflammation. 6 means that there's a tremendous amount of inflammation. So what causes these cells to inflame are your bad fats, your high sugar, your toxins. Your toxic load blocks these receptor sites. Nerve supply, which is why we do chiropractic adjustments with people, and ketones, and I'm going to explain ketosis to you guys today. But this cell has to have a very specific environment in order for it to be healthy. So our first phase of detoxing is repairing that, and our second phase of detoxing is repairing this. So as I go through this, I want you to see that. So there are 5 steps that you need to follow if you want to start detoxing properly. And the first step is you got to measure where you're at. I love this one because it was Princess Leia. You know, I don't know if you guys follow me on Facebook, but I was really getting tired of people at the end of the year saying, oh, 2016 is taking everybody. It's so mysteriously taking everybody. It wasn't taking everybody. The people who were dying had a lifestyle that built a body that broke down easy. It's not that mysterious. Both those people that passed at the end of the year lived hard, physical, emotional, chemical lives. So the first thing you got to do is you got to measure where you're at. So I wanted to give you guys some measurements. So I don't know if you brought this with you. I sent an email out yesterday, but I'm not sure everybody checked their email. But there are 2 measurements that I like that you can use. The first is a questionnaire that we do in my office called the Neurotoxic Questionnaire. How many people have taken that before? Okay, if you don't know what I'm talking about, and you didn't get it, it's in an email that I sent out. I will resend an email with everybody's who's in here today. I will resend it. It's going to be a list of symptoms. And these are symptoms that are common to people who have toxic overload. And you want to score about a 25 or under. If you score a 25 or under on the neurotoxic questionnaire, then you're doing great. If you're 25 or over, then many of your symptoms could be coming from toxins. The second thing I created was this toxic exposure questionnaire. So I think a really good question to ask yourself is, how full is your bucket? How many people feel like you have a good idea of how full your bucket is? Yeah, so I would say the majority of you don't. So I would encourage you to take this questionnaire. We do have extra of these up there, and find out where you sit. And on the last page, I've categorized it into 3 sections. If you score somewhere between a 0 and a 13, then you're doing pretty darn well. And I actually, as I was creating this, I know a lot of you, and I was thinking you guys are probably really doing it, like there's going to be some people that are going to be proud of themselves when they see the changes that they've made. The second, if you score in the middle between 14 and 32, I would say you have about moderate toxic load. And if you score between 33 and higher, then I would say you need to make some changes. It's a time is now. How many people scored themselves, just out of curiosity? Okay. How many people, of the people that scored themselves, how many did 0 to 13? Get me? Everybody that? Okay. How many people were 14 to 32? Okay. And how many people were 33 and higher? Yeah. So this and then the next question, most common question I get is, well, where do I start? And I really believe that you got to start with your food. I go back to my journey that I've been on. I do believe you have to start with your food. And I think the most important thing to start with is stop eating non-organic food. That would be the first thing I would tell you, which is why I put glyphosate on the very top. Now, does this mean you can never eat out? No. Just limit how much you eat out, and before you go to eat out, get some Restore. I don't have stock in this company. I really have no benefit to tell you about Restore other than I want to see you healthy. So, but glyphosate is the most damaging. And then you can start looking, and we'll go through the oils, and you can look at, I'm big on reading ingredient labels. I think you have to read them very thoroughly and understand what's in them. But the first thing you do is you start with your food. And this is the order you would do it in. Then you go to your beauty products. How many people have the Think Dirty app? Okay, the Think Dirty app is awesome. It is the greatest tool, one of the greatest detox tools I've found. It's on your phone. It's called Think Dirty. It's put out by the Breast Cancer Society, and you can start to basically scan all of your products. And you want things that are about a 3 and under. And you'll be surprised. So if you don't have that app, you haven't done that, I would encourage you to go home today and do all your products. And you can do one of two things. You can just throw them all out, or you can, when they run out, you can replace them with something better. So that's up to you. Then I would go to your kitchen products, and then I would go to your laundry room. You can look at a little more into your bathroom, and then you can look at just indoor air. But here's where you could go batty. Is that, do you know when you buy a new piece of furniture, it has flame retardant on it? Yenny was telling me that they were at, I didn't put them on, but they were at a hotel, and one of her daughters woke up one morning with like her lip and her cheek totally swollen. And she said she must have had an allergic reaction to something in the room, but the rest of them were okay. And once she got her out of the environment and out into the air, the allergy went down. So we were thinking that something on the pillowcase or something that she put her head next to. So I mean, this is where you're getting toxins everywhere. This is the bummer part of this presentation, is that it's a little daunting to help you focus on which toxins to get rid of, because there's so many. But I think I did the best job I could. And then some of you are going to need to go and look at your mouth. Deborah went and got her. We've been working on her health. She went and got her amalgams taken out. If you're really motivated, come talk to me. We can talk about that. I'm not, and you'll hear me when I talk about heavy metal toxins. I'm not a fan of flu shots. I think flu shots. That parts per billion. Do you remember what the NuvaRing was like 0.03 and it was effective? A flu shot has 51,000 parts per billion of mercury. If they could give the flu shot without mercury, I wouldn't even be having this conversation with you. But of all the vaccines we have, that is the most damaging. It's a preservative. It's how they can get it into the body. So look this over and decide how full is your bucket. What is it? What's the reality of what's going on for you? And that's the toxic exposure questionnaire. I like to always ask myself, one of the things that I learned from Lanny was that I think periodically it's important to sit and go, where am I right now on the continuum of health and disease? Because symptoms are not always our best way to look at things. We're born healthy, but then we accumulate more stress and physical, emotional, chemical stress, and our healthcare system only has a measurement of when you're in a crisis. We need a better measurement of that middle part. So that's what I'm trying to give you guys with these tools. The neurotoxic questionnaire, if you scored over a 25, then yeah, there's toxic buildup. So go back, look in your email, make sure you're doing that. And then what we're doing in our office right now is I've put together 6 different tests that tell me which direction your body is heading. Is it heading towards health? Is it heading towards disease? And as I go to make changes on people, I redo these tests so I can see that things are improving. Like, we have a visual test that you can see that when you go to take the test. How many people have taken the visual test? How many people couldn't see the last 2 lines? The last 2 lines are people who have biotoxins or are really full of toxins, and then we go and detoxify somebody, and they retake the test, and they can see that line finally. It's a super cool experience. We have a urine test to see if these cells are damaged. We have adrenal test to see if your adrenals are fatigued. I'm trying to put together the most comprehensive set of tests that don't cost you thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars, that you can actually do every 6 months, and you can see what direction I'm heading. So if you want those tests, we reduced them down. I think it's like $100 to get the tests. You just got to see Dana afterwards, and she'll get that for you. Those of you who are patients of mine, I do these tests on you every 6 months. Some of you, I'm doing them on you monthly, because they're that important. Okay, once you've measured yourself, the second thing you need to do is you need to stop toxifying yourself. And that is really what the 15-day detox is about. And I want to explain to you, how many people have done the 15-day detox, just out of curiosity? Okay, awesome. So some of you guys are brand new. We have 2 resources for you. One of the reasons that this book got written is that I was telling people all the time how to do the 45-day reset, and I finally thought, I just got to sit down and write it in a book. And so I did, and then it made it so much easier for you. And the reason that this book got written is that people had questions about supplements and recipes and accelerating their results. And so Bonnie and I put our heads together and we created these books. They really, I don't know which one to tell you to get because I may be biased, but I think they're both great. But if you're going to go on the 15-day, we have them up there for you. What I did in the kitchen book is I summarized it. So if you want to do the 15-day detox, you want to go and get the summary. And it looks something like this. It's in chapter 2, and there's the summary of everything you do. I'm going to give you a real quick overview of what the 15-day detox looks like. So, who should go on the detox? If you were feeling like you overdid it in December, you're feeling like you gained 10 pounds, you're feeling sluggish, you're just done with how your body's feeling, and you just need a little tweak, that's what this is really for. It's to turn you around and reset you as quickly as possible. And what you do is basically you're going to do 2 meals a day that you replace with smoothies. And the reason I have you replace them with smoothies is because I found that it was much easier to get you to stabilize your blood sugar if I replaced them with a smoothie than if I tried to give you a long list of foods to do. So 2 meals, your big meals you replace with smoothies, and then you have 1 meal a day. And that 1 meal a day, you want to make sure that you're avoiding sugar, grains, high-sugared fruits. So on the 15-day detox, we let you have blueberries and we let you have green apples. Those are the lowest sugared fruits. So the cool thing I like about the 15-day detox is it really does, it turns you fast. It can take you from, where's Darcel? Okay, Darcel, she's the sweetest person. I'm sorry to point you out. I know you're not everybody likes to be pointed out. She was like, okay, I gotta do the detox. I gotta do it. I gotta do it. So we finally decided to do it, and the first 2 days, how hard were the first couple of days? Very hard. I got emails. Is this normal? I'm craving this. My stomach hurts. Is this going on? Is this normal? And at what day did it change?
Probably after the 7th day.
After the 7 days. So it took her 7 days. And she did a radical change. How much of these foods were you eating before the 15-day detox?
All of them.
All of them. So, and what happened after 7 days when you got through the tough period?
I didn't feel deprived anymore. I wasn't as irritated and irritable. I felt better.
You felt better. And then you went all the way through the whole 45-day reset, and how much of this have you gone back onto?
Some snacks here and there, restaurant food, but we're starting over.
It's starting over. Okay, and then what did you notice overall, when you got done with the whole 45 days?
More energy, clearer
can change. Yeah, that's pretty common.
Clearer thoughts, mental clarity was good. And then when some of the stuff got introduced back, then it started going downhill, and you could notice the changes as they happened as you eat the food.
Yeah, awesome. And that's what I love about this is if you guys can stick to it for 15 days and then you go back on it, you'll have that experience. You don't need me to motivate you anymore. You're self-motivated because you can see the difference. So you want to avoid sugar grains, high sugared fruits, chemicals, which means you got to read labels, bad oils, caffeine, alcohol, all of that we want to take out. Now, how many caffeine addicts do we have in here? Okay, so I'm a caffeine addict too, so I had to find a way to do caffeine that might work from a toxic perspective. So if you are incredibly adrenal fatigued, meaning that you have 1 cup of coffee, it does nothing for you, you need 5 or 6 cups of coffee, I am not talking to you. You need to start to back off on coffee. I'm talking to the person who has 1 cup a day and is attached to that 1 cup a day, okay? The way to drink coffee is you gotta have it organic. It's the most highly sprayed, one of the most highly sprayed crops. So you have to have it organic, and I encourage you to put a good fat in it like butter. How many people have had buttered coffee? Okay, keep your hands up if you've had buttered coffee. If you've had buttered coffee and you like buttered coffee, keep your hands up. Okay, so those of you who haven't tried buttered coffee, there's a recipe in the book. I encourage you to try it. The brain is 60% good fat, or fat. So when you put caffeine with a good fat, what ends up happening is it makes you really mentally alert, and you don't get jittery. You only need a little bit of coffee. You don't need much. So that's the one exception that I have. If you want your coffee on the 15-day detox, you can do it with buttered coffee. Grass-fed, organic, good point. Butter. No, don't put margarine in it, please. That's the opposite. Okay, so foods you're going to add in. So you have one meal. You've got these 2 smoothies. You've got 1 meal that you're going to work on. And what you're going to add in, and this is the most important thing to add in, is good fats. So if you go back, and I won't give you all the details, but if you go back and you look at history, when we went low fat as a country, we started getting more and more and more and more problems. I mean, it's been decades that we've been low fat. So I now have conditioned myself, when I'm in the market, I see low fat, I just think high sugar or high chemicals. Low fat is not a benefit to anybody. We need good fats. So I encourage you to start to add in good fats, take out the bad fats. If you don't know what those differences are, in the kitchen book, we put them in charts, so you could actually just thumb through it and you could see it easily in a chart. But you want to take the bad fats out, add the good fats in. Clean proteins, you want to eat organic. Those poor animals, if you're not eating organic, have been fed junk and antibiotics and growth hormone, and when you eat that, you're getting that. So I love the idea that don't worry about what you're eating, worry about what your eating ate. Because it's what they ate that's the problem. So look at your clean proteins, and then you're going to add in smoothies, vegetables. So in the book, I encourage you to get 4 to 5 cups of fresh, raw, organic vegetables a day. It'll fill you up. They're also great detoxifiers. And then a lot of you have asked me about protein powder. Grass-fed protein is really the one that we recommend because it is a better detoxifier than the other protein powders. If you're a vegan, you can do plant-based, that's fine. But the grass-fed has just this unique quality where it will improve your detoxifying. So you want to add those in. Supplements. One of the other problems we had when we launched the Reset Factor is poor Jessica, last January, had more phone calls, more emails. The book came out in December, and people came out of the woodwork. I don't even know. People from all over the world were asking us about supplements. And we tried to create a system that would really help. And the reason you take supplements during your detox is that you gotta help your liver, and you gotta help your gut, and you gotta get some support in there. I believe, here's my theory on supplements. There are target supplements, and there are maintenance supplements. Once you target what you're trying to do with your body, then you can go on a maintenance supplement, a good multivitamin, vitamin D. That's a good maintenance. I mean, I don't think you got to do much. But when you're trying to fix something, you need to get some good nutrients in there. So I listed it out in the book. What happened to me last year as I was doing all this research is I found that there was one product, the Cellular Vitality, that had most of everything that I recommended in my book. So it comes in one packet. You don't have to walk out with 8 bottles. You have one packet. The other thing I've gotten is a lot of people calling me or texting me from Whole Foods. And Whole Foods and this and that, and they walk out, and then I get another text, oh my God, that was $300. So we've simplified it for you, and it's all in Cellular Vitality. So if you're gonna do the 15-day detox, I recommend you do 2 things. You do the Cellular Vitality and you do the Restore. And you'll need some protein powder and you're done. That's it. Super simple, right? How many people have done the detox think that that's pretty cool? Or is it just me? Thank you. So we did a lot of research on that. Okay, common questions we got. Smoothies. What are you going to put in your smoothie? Okay, I put that in the book. There's a whole thing. If you go in the back, there's a whole piece on smoothies. And you can see that I wrote out we also give you some new smoothie recipes, and I wrote out guidelines for the smoothies. Because I don't want you putting fruit juice in it, because that's not going to help you stabilize your blood sugar. So there's some guidelines for the smoothies in there that you can follow so that you're making sure that you're doing the right smoothie. What if you hate smoothies? How many people hate smoothies? Christina, you're the only one. Amy, you hate them? Or you're just tired of them? Yeah. Okay. Okay, well here's my thing if you hate them. You could try doing 1 a day and not 2 a day. So when my husband and I do the 15-day detox, we just find that night smoothie we're just full, you can't get it in. So it's okay if you do 1 a day, that's fine. And I would tell you, the one you do, try to make it watery, like don't make it really packed, because the thicker smoothie sits in your stomach like a lump. Watery one, just drink it and you're done. So you look at it like cough syrup. It's even more effective than that. So, okay, supplements. We talked about them. Can you do it without the supplements? Yeah, you can do it without the supplements. Will it be as effective? No. That if you want the most effective way to repair the body in 15 days, you do it with the supplements. Athletes. How many people worked out while on the reset? Keep your hands up. I just want to see if you are. Okay, all of you that worked out and it was continuous working out. Like it was the same workout. Okay, how many people struggled in their workout? Keep your hands up. Take your hands down if you struggled working out during the 15-day. If you struggled. No, a little bit? So some people did. So I encourage you to work out. I don't think that you should work out as hard as you normally work out. I mean, your body's detoxifying. Give it some love. Like, go for a walk. Go, do something that feels moderate to low working out. If you love Orange Theory, fine. Go to Orange Theory and do your Orange Theory. That's great. I encourage sweating. So if you're a yoga person and you like hot yoga, go and do some hot yoga. But you just do what feels right for you. If you're an athlete, you're going to need to make sure you're adding in sweet potatoes. You're going to add in some wild rice. You need to add in a few more starchy vegetables. That's the one, and you're going to need to add in more protein. So you got to really make sure when you're eating a lot. So this is how many people who did the 15-day detox found that they weren't hungry? Yeah. So that's probably the biggest thing, is that people just aren't hungry anymore, and then they stop eating, and that's okay. That's fine. So you want to add in make sure you're adding in food and you're keeping yourself full probably all the time. Kids detox. Yes, your kids can do it. Yes, they can take the Cellular Vitality, would be the supplement I would encourage them to take. If they can't swallow pills, start with the Restore. Take sugar out. What we've seen people do in our office is, for kids, they'll say, okay, hey, we're going on a family detox. We're just going to take sugar out, and then I would put the Restore in. You can do it if they're little. That would be good. If you've got teenagers, they can do everything that you guys can do. And I encourage it. I'm, again, really concerned about this generation growing up right now. I feel like it's unfair that they are exposed to more toxins than we were exposed to. So they need this skill more than anybody. So yes, your kids can do it. Other tips and tricks that we have found is you got to drink a lot of water. A loofah, you guys know what a loofah is? A lymph brush. Your skin is a great exit point for toxins. So as you're detoxifying, get in a warm shower, get a loofah, get under your armpits, which is where lymph hangs out. And for women, you know, this is what one of the things about breast cancer is it's all congested under our arms. So you got to like take that loofah and just start to get some of these toxins moving. The way you minimize hunger is you eat more good fat. Just keep upping that good fat and make sure you sleep. You know, sleeping, there's so much repair that happens with your sleep. What do you do after the 15 days? That's when we encourage you to transfer into eating more food. That's what the 30-day habit reset is about. We transfer you into eating more food. Can you stay on it? How many people wanted to stay on the 15-day when they were done? Keep your hands up. It's surprising, right? That was the most surprising to me is that people would come back to me and they'd be like, I feel so good, can I stay on this? Sure, you can stay on it forever if you want, but boredom will kill you, so make sure you don't get bored. So that's why I transitioned you onto the 30 days. Okay? Results people got. Karen, what result did you get? So Karen, I followed work Facebook friends, and every morning I'd see all of her containers that she would put out, and she was counting the days, and the thing to know about Karen, she always has a smile on her face, but she works full time and has some young children, and she was able to do it all and succeed at it. Okay, Grace, what did you notice?
Well, I lost weight, which was great.
Okay.
Especially in my belly area, and I had more energy and cravings.
Awesome. Cravings, that's the other thing is if you're a sugar craver, up your good fat, and you'll notice that your sugar cravings will go away. And Darcel, we already got your... Darcel, you were fun for me because you were like, I hate this. And then you turned around, so it's awesome. Okay, so 15-day detox. How many people are going to get on the 15-day detox? Just by show of hands. Okay, so what I encourage you, I love this, is a new concept that I've been thinking about recently, is that time is a killer of motivation. So you hear an idea, and you're like, you leave a place like this, you're like, I'm going to do that, this looks awesome, I want to lose weight and have energy. And then you move into tomorrow, and all of a sudden the people around you are like, what are you going to do? Why are you going to do that? How do you know that's going to work? Who told you that was good? And you start questioning yourself. And you go, well, you know what? This week actually is not that good for me because I've got this going on and that going on, so I'm going to do it next weekend. And then next weekend rolls around, and you're like, well, you know what? I was actually realized I have a party in 2 weeks, so maybe in the spring I will do it. Stop it! You came here on a Saturday morning. Do it today. Just make that decision. 15 days from now, you will be so happy. So don't let time kill your motivation. Okay. Once you've accomplished that 15-day, then you're going to go into the 30-day. And the 30-day is really about repairing the cell. And this is where if you want to try ketosis, if you want to get your body into a ketogenic state, I highly recommend it. How many people feel like they've done a good job getting their body into ketosis? My patients have probably known. Okay, what do you feel like, Renee? What do you feel like when you're in ketosis? What do you notice about your body?
I'm not hungry.
Not hungry?
And my workouts have gotten better.
Workouts are amazing?
More energy. And
More.
less brain fog.
Exactly. So that's exactly what happens, is that we want to get your body into ketosis where it's burning energy from fat. It's not burning energy from sugar. That's what ketosis means. It just means you're burning energy from fat. And the other thing that we're finding about ketosis is that it repairs this part of the cell called the mitochondria. And the mitochondria is so important because it's what spits out energy. It's what gives energy to your body, which is why when you're in ketosis, you are so mentally clear. One way to get into ketosis is to intermittent fast. How many people are intermittent fasting? Okay, so this morning I haven't eaten. I knew I was coming up here. I wanted to be mentally clear. I made sure I didn't eat. That's a really different opinion or a concept than we've been taught. So, but I've trained my body to get into ketosis for a while. So there's a training process that can happen. Hold on one second. What we're finding, you guys can't see this right now, but what we're finding is that there are so many diseases that are associated with a malfunction of the mitochondria here. And when your body is burning energy from fat and it's increasing ketones, you start to repair this mitochondria. And we have found that through some experts that are showing us that right now. I talked about this at our cancer event in October, but Dr. Terry Walls up there in the far left, she is an MD. She got MS, which is a mitochondrial problem, and she was on all the trial drugs, and she found that she was getting worse. And then she started to research the mitochondria and go, what does this mitochondria need to feel better, to heal? She's like, I'm just, as a scientist, I'm just going to repair the mitochondria. And she upped her organ meats. Sorry. She upped her organ meats. She upped her vegetables to 9 cups of vegetables a day. And she did, everything else she did was pretty much consistent with what I'm teaching you guys food-wise. And she was, within a year, able to walk. Again, no medication. Just from zeroing in on this one piece. This guy up here on the right is one of the leading scientists in nutrition and cancer. And he's saying if you want to cure cancer and you want to prevent it, you've got to work on that mitochondria. And then the agouti mouse, you guys have heard me tell this before. These 2 mice have a gene for obesity, and they found that they fed their twins, and they fed them both the same amount of food. They gave them the same amount of exercise. The only difference was that they fed the one on the left BPA plastic. And they put it into his food, and the minute they put BPA plastic into this mouse's food, he ballooned up like that and his hair turned colors. So those of you that think you need to deprive yourself of calories to lose weight, I kid you not, that's not the answer. You've got to detoxify. So what the part of the story I haven't told you is that the mouse shrunk back down when they put it in a ketotic state and started to get nutrients to the mitochondria. So if you guys have done the 15-day detox, especially those of you that are patients of mine, then go into learning how to get your body into ketosis. And how you basically do it is that you've got to eat less than 50 grams of carbs a day, which is not much. You can have, I don't want to say whatever you want, but you can have all the fruits and the vegetables and the meats that you want. You could even have bread if you wanted, but I would tell you that bread's probably got about a 20-gram carbohydrate load. But you want to keep your carbohydrates below 50 grams. And the only way that I know how to figure that out is that there is an app on the phone called Carb Manager. And you basically get, how many people have used Carb Manager? Okay, is it helpful? Yeah, I don't know how to help you guys without it because it really measures it. And it'll tell you at the end of the day, put all your food in, it'll tell you exactly how much food that you've had, how many carbs you've had. And Bonnie, do you know another easier way to track carbs?
There's a whole bunch of apps. It's kind of personal preference, but they're all good.
Okay.
I use a lot of them.
Well, I would say don't wait till the end of the day because then you've probably blown it. You put it in as you eat because then you know what
Perfect.
you've done.
I love it. I love it. Don't wait till the end of the day because you're probably over 50. Yeah. So even if you're doing a 15-day detox, I encourage you to get the Carb Manager app and track your food. The other way to get into ketosis is to eat 50% of your diet from good fat. You know, you want to up that good fat. I hate the scale, by the way. Those of you that have heard me before, I think you should throw your scale away. I really hate it. I think when you get on it, there's so much judgment you have about it. And it's you're either going to get on and be like, woohoo, or you're going to get on it and you're not going to like what it says, and you're going to start the negative self-talk. So I encourage you to get rid of it. Maybe if you want to get on it once a month, that's fine. But I love a precision ketone reader. How many people are using that? So we have some people in our office that are using that. You can find it on Amazon. It'll tell you your ketone levels based off of that. And come talk to me later. We're going to do a whole ketosis class in February 2nd. So I can teach you guys all these little principles. And those of you that I'm coaching personally, I'm working you through these. Supplement-wise, for those of you who've done the 15-day detox, then I would recommend you get the prep phase. Who did the prep phase? Have you done the prep phase? No. Julia, you did the prep phase. What'd you notice on it? Not much. Okay.
No, the first 2 days is awful.
Oh, you had a detox reaction. Okay, that's all good. That's fine. Okay. And then what happened after that? Everything good. Great. Okay. As long as the end of the story is good, right? So just really athletic. And all of the new athletic theory is not carbo load, it's get your body into ketosis. So I'll give him things to do, and then he goes out and does it. And that's what you'll notice is when you get yourself into ketosis, these mitochondria are so happy. You have so much energy when you work out. So that's what you notice there. Okay, fourth step. I'm coming down the home stretch, and then I'm going to tie this all up for you guys. The fourth step, if you've done the 15-day detox, and you know how to get your body into ketosis, then you start to pull heavy metals out. Now, some of you I know are brand new, you've never seen me before. This is a lot of information all at once. If that's you, start on the 15-day, just file this information behind and know that this is a possibility. Those of you that I've been coaching and you've become so efficient at your food and at detoxing, you feel great, then this is where you want to tune in a little bit more. So we're finding that we have many of the things like thyroid, autoimmune, cancers, Alzheimer's are because of an accumulation of heavy metals. And I like to look at this as really getting to the source of the problem. So I'm an analogy person, so the best analogy that I can use is that my daughter and I, about 3 or 4 years ago, went to Haiti. And the idea is we went with a small group of people and we were going to build houses. And the idea around building these houses was that we were going to take the trash, put it into these little styrofoam, take all the styrofoam, put them into blocks, and then build a house from the blocks, which is pretty cool. It's such a great use of resources. So the first day we get there, bright-eyed and bushy-tailed, and we didn't realize that we were going to have to pick up the trash. So this is us picking up the trash. That's how much trash was going on. There was so much trash. And what you can't see, and I wish you could see in this picture, is that there's a road up at the very, very top with people sitting there eating out of styrofoam cups, throwing it down into the pile that we're picking up. They don't have a trash system in Haiti. Everything gets served to you in styrofoam. And so we're picking it up, and I'm looking up there going, this is not an efficient process. Like, this is not going to work. Well, that's how I feel about heavy metals, is so many of you guys are trying to kill candida, you're trying to repair the liver, but instead you've got heavy metals that are in the brain, especially up here in the pituitary and the hypothalamus, that are causing the destruction of everything in your body. If you are familiar with candida, you cannot cure candida without pulling out heavy metals. So that's how I got into learning about heavy metals, and we're getting heavy metals in places that we are exposed to daily. Our water, I just read an article on the EPA's website that if your house is built 5 years or less, that there's a joint they use in connecting pipes that is filled with lead, and they're allowed to use it, and that they're saying 100% of homes that have been built in the last 5 years have lead in their water. I know. That's EPA website. Go check it out. Makeup, lipsticks filled with lead. You get lead from your mother. It gets passed down 4 generations. So you get lead just because our mother and our grandmother, they were exposed to, that was the lead generation. We had lead in the paint and places like that. We also are finding mercury. Mercury is in the mouth. Mercury is in a flu shot. We're finding that mercury is in places that we're exposed to on a day-to-day basis. The stuff in the mouth is disturbing, and the next time you go to get a cavity filled, please talk to your dentist about this. Please don't put another mercury in your mouth. When you drink something hot or cold, it does bleach out. They know that. They can see it. A lot of dentists are catching on to this and changing it, but please don't let them do that. Fish, of course, staying away from the more mercury-filled fish, and then you heard how I feel about flu shots. What these chemicals do is they go up into the brain, and if you have any hormonal problem, women, I'm talking to you, if you have any hormonal problem, then that's not going away with diet and a 15-day detox, then it's probably because you've got metals in the brain that are affecting the pituitary and hypothalamus. If you have a thyroid condition and you walk into your medical doctor's office and they say your TSH is off, well, TSH is the thyroid stimulating hormone that is produced by the pituitary in the brain. You don't need another toxin to solve that problem. You need to address what is the imbalance that's going on in the brain. So we've been really successful at getting people off of medication. I have 2 people right now that have gone through all 3 phases of detoxing, and their food allergies are completely gone. This one woman had such a severe wheat allergy that if she even it brushed up on her skin, she would have a problem, and now she can actually eat wheat because the toxins were affecting her gut. So this is something, again, if you haven't done the 15-day, I'm just putting that out there for you, but if you're a patient of mine and you've been through all of this and you haven't done this piece, it's crucial. We do a urine test to test for heavy metals. This is my sister and I's test. I find this really interesting. I want to do my daughter. I'm hoping someday to do my mom as well so we can get 4 generations. But this is my older sister. So this is hers on the left. That line that is going all the way off to the end, that is her lead. She called me in the spring and said that her thyroid numbers were all off and what she didn't want to go on the medication, could she do? And so we have been doing the heavy metal detox, and as of now, her numbers are stable. She hasn't gone on the medication, but we're still got a few things we're working out. This is me. So second born, I have a little less lead. So the firstborn we're finding has the most. Lead lives in the bones. When you have a hormonal change like pregnancy, it comes out. And that's why we're seeing those, we've done it on a couple, Tiffany, we did on Tiffany's family as well. We did on all of her kids. I can't remember. Did she leave?
I think she's getting product already.
Okay, so I'll ask when she comes back. Okay, so results we've had with that again, if you have hormonal problems, if you have Alzheimer's, dementia, insomnia, anxiety, severe thyroid, autoimmune, we got to look at these. Weight loss resistance, it's not going away. This is heavy metals. Okay, so how do you decide? There's a lot of information. How do you decide which one to go on? I recommend that you look at what your goal is. What do you want to do? And I'm going to walk you through, before we close here, I want to walk you through something I'm doing with my patients, and it's called bridging the gap. And what I am finding is that it's easy to be in a room like this and be motivated, but next week is when the distractions start and the cravings start. So I'm going to walk you through how you do this, but the first thing you have to decide is, what is your goal? What are you trying to accomplish with this body of yours? I had a patient this week that we sat down together, and she said, my number one goal is I don't want my body to hold me back anymore. And I was like, that's awesome. I have another patient that I'm coaching from afar. She lives in Central California, and we were on the phone the other day, and I said, okay, tell me what your goal, what your number one goal is. She's 28 years old. She has can't get out of her house. She's got some rashes. I think she has some severe candida. She's having trouble. She can't even get out of her house. She's 28 years old. I mean, her body is breaking down. Nobody can figure out what's going on. One of her goals is she wants to have a family. So we put that down. This is your goal, is to live a normal life. So what is your goal? What is it that you're looking for? And then I want to show you how you work this. So I found this. Some of you may have seen this on the internet. I love this. This was on my Facebook page. Turn it up. We need Joey. Where's Joey?